All right, it shows we're live. So it shows we're live. Hopefully it is. Okay. We can do that. I mean, I know the date's June 1, so that's really all that matters. Just start rucking. Yeah, we'll do that in just a minute. Okay. All right. We have Kurt? Yeah. Okay. You ready? All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. If you're present on this Zoom hearing and you are not a defendant or an attorney appearing before the court, I would respectfully ask you to exit the Zoom hearing, go to the live YouTube channel on 98th District Court. It's live YouTube, and you can watch all the exact same proceedings without clogging up the Zoom hearing. So at this time, please exit out of the Zoom and go to the YouTube. You missed Acosta? Oh, I think you're muted or too far from the microphone, Juan.
There she is. Miss Shauna.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Now we can hear you. Hang on to the phone. Paula, you ready? Court will call cause number B20-519, 520, and 521. The state of Texas versus Shauna DaCosta for purposes of pre-trial. What say the parties?
Seat's ready. Fence is ready.
We have any pre-trial motions?
None from the state. None from us at this time, Your Honor.
Where do we stand on this case, Mr. Ruckin?
We're negotiating an agreement and in the process of negotiating an agreement. We should have one, I would think, fairly soon.
Well, let's reset it for a May 3rd pretrial, please. Mr. Costa, if you're out of the county jail, it'll be at 8:30 in the morning. If you're not, we'll see you in the afternoon on May 3rd. Thank you, ma'am. The next one, there's some arraignment. Thank you. I miss Al. Okay, there we go.
It came to my attention.
Do what? Where do you see her? No, I'm not paying attention to that. And our screens don't always match. I think it depends on the order that you pop in. Court will call cause number B2020-2282 and 19748. 2020 and 282 were set for arraignment, but the court would note that council's filed waivers of arraignment. So scheduling orders will be entered in both of those cases, with the next scheduled appearance before the court being June 1st.
Your Honor, real quick. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, real quickly, it came to my attention this afternoon. I went to the jail just prior to these hearings just to touch base with my clients. And it's come to my attention that Miss Howell name popped up and Miss Destiny Force, who's also on the docket today, and her arrest from 2 years ago. So with that being said, at a minimum, I don't know what her level of involvement is. Once that came to my attention, I have no longer spoken to Ms. Howell in detail about what her involvement is in the case. But at a minimum, she would be a witness. And I don't believe I can go forward representing Ms. Force, who I've had for the last 2 years, and also Ms. Howell, who was recently appointed to her office.
So I would put together a motion to substitute and just put all three cause numbers on Ms. Howell, and we'll get another attorney on there.
All right, I'll do that, Judge.
And we'll just pass the motion to revoke today. Ms. Howell, do you understand that?
I believe so.
Okay, we'll get you, as soon as we get the motion to substitute, we'll get you another attorney assigned and they'll be able to see you, okay?
Your Honor, with the motion to substitute, was there a particular attorney you wanted me to put in there, or just do a motion to withdraw?
No, just leave it blank and I'll look at whoever's next on the wheel.
Okay.
Thank you. I got Lowry.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's okay. Is this a motion to proceed? Court will call cause number B19-809 and B20-115, the state of Texas versus Laura Lowry. For purposes of motion to proceed, what say the parties?
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Ferguson and I have not had an opportunity to discuss this case. She was just recently put on deferred, and I'd like to be able to see if we can resolve this case with Mr. Ferguson. If not, then the court will schedule us for a contested hearing for the next setting, what I believe is April 28th, if that's okay with Brett.
Let me look at my calendar on April 28th to make sure I don't have something going on.
April 23rd is the other option.
Okay. I'm good on the 28th as well. I'm good on the 28th. Would you like to do that?
Let's reset all three cases, or excuse me, both cases for April 28th.
What time is that, Judge?
It's 1:30 or something.
I believe it's 1:30. It's not on here, but I think it's 1:30.
Okay.
We'll get together,
Yeah.
Brett.
Hang on half a second. Amber's going to check the time.
Okay, thanks, Your Honor.
All right, both cases will be set for 1:30 on April 28th, and either we'll have an agreement or we'll have a contested hearing, one way or the other.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Lowry.
Ms. Miller, did you hear that? Okay. Thank you for showing up.
All right, thanks.
Oh, hang on, this will be easy. Well, you know what I say that? I don't know if they're tornado ones or pre-trials because they're not marked on the docket anymore. Court will call cause number B2427, 428, and 429. The state of Texas versus Elizabeth Gilder. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready.
Do we have any pretrial issues we need to address?
None from the state. Looks like we're still waiting on labs.
How far do you want to set it out?
June?
Let's do this. Let's set it June 1st, and if we get the labs in sooner, then we'll jump up a docket.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, Ms. Gilder, we'll see you back on June 1st. Thank you. You're the wrong one. Court will call cause number A16-319 and A18-222, the state of Texas versus Refugio Mata. For purposes of a motion to proceed, let's say the parties.
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Hoover earlier today, and I think he was going to speak with Mr. Harpold about him standing in today, and then us just resetting Miss Mata. We've got a situation that's come up. We had an agreement, but we had a situation come up that is kind of forcing me to do some more due diligence before I allow her to take the offer. So I've got to do that due diligence before we can do the plea.
Judge, I spoke to Mr. Hoover today, and he's in agreement. And I referenced to him, Brett, that May 3rd was our next pretrial, and that was fine with him.
That's perfectly fine with me as well.
All right, let's reset them for May 3rd. Ms. Mata, we'll see you back on May 3rd. Thank you.
Ms. Mata, did you understand what I was saying? And you remember what we were talking about this morning? That's what we're going to do, okay? Where I'm going to research all that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Court will call cause number B19-848, the state of Texas versus Destiny Force. She should be here in just one second. Good afternoon, Ms. Force.
Good afternoon.
For purposes of pretrial, let's say the parties.
State's ready.
Your Honor, it's come to my attention the labs are still not back, the drug labs in this case.
That's correct.
I'm showing on January 4th a docket entry that says they've been received.
Right, that was my understanding as well at that time. And then the following pre-trial was indicated they weren't. And I brought that to Mr. Rosenbach's attention. He double checked the file this afternoon after we spoke, and it's still, his records don't indicate they haven't.
I looked, Mr. McCray called me, and I looked, and I didn't see them in the file where they typically are.
Okay, well, let's reset for June 1st. And if we receive the lab sooner, then let's move it up on the docket, please. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here we go.
We'll call cause number B20-524, the state of Texas versus Antonio Granado.
I'm present for Ms. Granado. Kurt Rudkin.
Do we have any pretrial issues today?
None from the defense, Your Honor.
State?
I'm from the state, Your Honor. And I'm showing that we're still waiting on labs.
That's correct.
All right, let's reset for June 1st. And if we receive the lab sooner, we'll move it up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bless you. Court will call cause number B20-196 and B2410, the state of Texas versus Charles Bergendahl. On B21, well, hang on B2410, it's set for arraignment. So for purposes of, let's say the parties.
Your Honor, this is one of Dave Parent's clients, and remember, Mr. Parent has the COVID, so I didn't notice that. I would have told him not to get pulled, but
Okay. Yeah. All right, Mr. Bergendahl, your case is going to be reset. Your attorney was just diagnosed with COVID. So,
Judge Emerson, this is Mr. Schreiber.
Mr. Schreiber. Okay. I wonder what happened to Bergendahl.
Tell us who was
perhaps,
Okay.
I guess from our office got with the jail beforehand, Your Honor. I apologize.
Court will call cause number B20-178, the state of Texas versus William Schreiber. For purposes of pretrial, let's say the parties.
State's ready.
Defense ready.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
None from the state.
Not today, Judge. I think we're already set for another pretrial May the 3rd and trial May the 4th. I'm not sure that's still pending or if they're being moved.
What's it show on the computer, do you know? It shows his trial date. Okay, you are correct, Ms. Perry. Pretrial 5-3, trial 5-4.
Good. Thank you. I'll be conferring with the state on that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you back next month, Mr. Schreiber. Thank you. Court will call cause number B21-39, the state of Texas versus Jeffrey Wilson. For purposes of pretrial, let's say the parties.
State's ready.
Mr. Trevino, are you with us? Mr. Wilson, it does not appear that your attorney's present, so what we're going to do is reset you for next month. We'll see you back on May 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
In Your Honor, in regards to Mr. Trevino, I haven't heard anything back since Monica from Bandera County let me know that he was in the hospital several weeks ago. So I'll see what we can find out.
Thank you. That's okay. Court will call cause number B20-208, the state of Texas versus Jose Gia for purposes of a 2801 hearing. What say the parties?
It's ready.
Defense is ready, Your Honor. I think we have an agreement as far as plea deal. My problem is that Mr. Gia needs an interpreter. And when I went out to talk to him about it last week, maybe the week before, they didn't have anybody at the jail that could interpret for me. So I just hadn't had a chance to get back out there.
Okay. So when do you want it reset for?
If we could, well, we just set it for May 3rd, but maybe this week I can get out there and talk to him. And if, you know, maybe we can do it Friday if that works out.
Let's do this. Let's set it for April 23rd. And if we can get to it sooner, great.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kia.
Your Honor, the only other two that I have on the docket this afternoon is Lonnie Ross, which we're doing a plea on Friday.
Yes.
And then the other one is Richard Gonzalez. And my understanding, I guess we're still waiting on him to go to hospital for incompetency.
Lonnie Ross is a plea on 4-9.
Yes, sir.
Let me find your other guy.
He's the second to last page, I believe.
Page 9, Your Honor.
Okay. There's no reason to bring him out if we're waiting on the state hospital. Okay.
May I be
You hear that in the
excused, Your
jail? Page 5, you do not need to bring out Lonnie Ross. And page 9, you do not need to bring out Richard Gonzalez.
Thank you, Judge.
And then in addition to that, any person on here whose attorney is David Parent, do not bring them out either.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
You may. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you, Judge. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, you too.
Bye, Brett.
See you later. We'll talk later.
Okay.
Court will call cause number B20-415 and 416 and B2155, State of Texas versus Kevin Cummings. Ms. Pearson, it looks like on 2155, I need to assign you. Is that correct?
I'll just send in a letter of being retained on that. I didn't realize I hadn't done that on that case.
Okay. $21.55, I'm assuming you have not had an opportunity to go through the indictment with your client, or have you?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. Well, then, are you prepared to proceed with arraignment?
Yes, sir.
Personal identifier is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Does your client wish to have the indictment read in open court?
No, sir. We'll waive the reading of the indictment and enter a plea of not guilty.
Court will enter the plea of not guilty. We'll enter a scheduling order. Do you want the scheduling order to match up to the other two cases?
Yes, sir. That would be great. However, I believe that Mr. Harpold and I have come to an agreement and we can set him for a plea this Friday.
On all three cases?
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's my understanding.
See you back Friday morning at 8 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me make it fit on
And Your Honor, before you go to the next one,
Yes, ma'am.
I have Georgia Kruger. She's the very last one. I wasn't prepared to do anything with her today. Mr. Harpold and I have not come to an agreement, but I believe we'll easily be able to. And it was just going to be a reset today. And that's all I have.
Well, let's reset her for April 23rd.
Okay.
I guess you want to leave now, huh?
I do. I would love to be excused.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Are you Mr. Kinzel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, give me just 1 second to catch up. Thank you. Court will call cause number B20 543, 544, 545, and 546. The state of Texas versus Joshua Kinzel for purposes of pretrial. What say the parties?
It's ready.
I'm present for him, Your Honor.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
None at this time, Your Honor.
All right, it looks like our next scheduled appearance is on May 3rd for a 2801 hearing. So, Mr. Kinzel, if you're out on bond, it'll be at 8:30 in the morning. If you're not, we'll see you back in the afternoon. Thank you.
Your Honor, real quickly, as a just as a heads up to the court, I filed waivers of arraignment on all of my arraignment cases. So just for expediency for the jail or whatnot.
Look. Okay. So that's Shay McCon. Tony Tovar. Maybe. Thank you, Leland. Thank you. Court will call cause number B20-169 and 170, the state of Texas versus Devin Perneda. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready also, Your Honor.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
No, Your Honor, I'm just waiting for word back from Tom Green County on some records that I'm going to share with the DA upon receipt. And I'll be forwarding you the order when they give me the details about what they want in the order to release them. But it shouldn't hold us up much longer.
Nothing from the state this time.
All
Hello,
right,
Mr.
let's jump.
Kinsey.
Let's just reset for the May 3rd docket. We'll see
Yes,
if we
sir.
have our records by then. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Judge. You're making this Zoom stuff look pretty easy.
Thank God this is the last week. Ready? Court will call cause number B20-296 and 297, 454, and 455. The the state of Texas versus Abraham Nicholas II. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
None from the state.
None from the defense.
right,
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
I've been speaking with Mr. Rosenbach on this case, and I think we're working towards a resolution.
Looks like our next scheduled appearance is a 2801 on May 3rd. So we'll see everybody back then.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, on Jacob Martin, who you just had, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying close enough attention. Those cases are set to plea out this Friday. I have been appointed on some of them, and we have an agreement with the state on them, needing Mr. Parent to sign some motions to substitute for the cases that he was appointed on.
Ted,
Okay.
don't go meet him in person. We got word that he was contracted COVID.
Gotcha. Yeah, I won't be meeting with him. I'll send him the documents over email.
Okay, so we'll see you Friday on Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Ben, I don't know if I have the plea documents for that yet.
We're working on him.
Got it.
Court will call cause number B20-123, the state of Texas versus Stephen Parr. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready.
Do we have any pretrial issues?
None at this time, Your Honor, but we do have a plea set for this Friday, the 9th, 8 o'clock in the morning for Mr. Parr.
That's correct.
All right, Mr. Parr, we'll see you back Friday morning. Thank you. Keith Vasquez is next. Right? Who you jump over? Because Najee Ray is David Parent, who has COVID. John Ellis is Parent. Leland's already announced on Shay McCown. You waived that, so it's Keaton Vasquez. There we go. Is this Mr. Vasquez?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, thank you. Court will call cause number B20-580, 581, and 582, State of Texas versus Keaton Vasquez. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Your Honor, this is Attorney Jimenez. I haven't had a chance to speak to the state. I wonder if we could have a moment to confer about the cases before our next hearing.
I can give you another pretrial on May 3rd.
Would we be allowed to confer at that time? Or
You can confer with them anytime, 5 days a week.
Anytime other than the Zoom. Okay, I see how you. I practice out of San Antonio. We confer a lot over Zoom. So, all right. But is the Mr. Rosenbach the prosecutor, or was it Mr. Harpold? Because when I called, I was told it was Mr. Harpold. I'm not sure.
Either of us can help you out, Mr. Jimenez. So just reach out and we'll see what we can do.
All right,
Okay?
Mr. Rosenbach, may I have your email, please?
I'll send it to you.
Or chat it to me. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
All
send
right.
it to you right now.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. We'll see you next month.
All right.
Carl Smith.
Court will call cause number B21-57, the state of Texas versus Salvador Hernandez for purposes of arraignment. Would say the parties.
State's
Good
ready. Your
morning,
Honor.
Your Honor. This is Jose Barajas on behalf of the respondent. We're ready.
Have you had an opportunity to go through the indictment with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
Are all the personal identifiers true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your client desire to have the indictment read in open court?
We waive that.
And he enters a plea of?
Not guilty.
Thank you. The court will enter a scheduling order. Your next scheduled appearance before the court in this case will be June 1st. If he's out on bond, it'll be at 8:30 in the morning. If he's not, we'll see you in the afternoon.
May I interrupt you, Your Honor?
Sure.
I have been speaking with Mr. Harfold, and we have come to a plea agreement. He won't be able to provide me the documents, he said, until Friday morning, 8 a.m. But at that time, I plan to be in person to have everything finalized. Can we have you hear that plea?
Absolutely. Now, if you get the paperwork done, we're more than happy to add him to the docket.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're more than welcome. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. May we be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. You too. James Oglesby. That's exactly what's going on. That's fine as long as it gets it done before we're finished. Court will call cause number B19-851, the state of Texas versus James Oglesby.
Judge, I was told Oglesby was going to plea on Friday.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is Mr. Smith.
Let me change out files. Thank you for telling me.
Yes, sir.
Court will call cause number B20-377, the state of Texas versus Charles Smith for purposes of a 2801 hearing. What say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready.
Do we have any announcements or motions?
Not this time, Your Honor, from the state. Mr. Valentine, I believe I owe you a phone call to talk about it.
Yes, let's do that, but nothing from the defense at this time, Your Honor.
All right, the next scheduled appearance is May 3rd for a pretrial, so we'll see everybody back then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Valentine, I'll get with you this week for sure. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
All righty.
Okay. Sorry, we're all good. Mr. Sandifer? Court will call cause number B19-46, State of Texas versus Christopher Sandifer for purposes of a motion to revoke. What say the parties?
Your Honor, I was in touch with Mr. McRae. I believe this is the first setting. We would just like a chance to confer and see if we can come to a resolution.
That's correct, Judge. Yes, we did talk this afternoon and we'd like a chance to get together, see what we can do with it.
Okay, let's set it for April 28th for a contested hearing.
Sure.
So we'll see everybody back then.
Thank you.
Thank you. April 28th.
Daniel Bordeaux?
Is that at 1:30, Judge?
Yes, sir. I believe it is.
All right.
Court will call cause number B2411 and B2146, the state of Texas versus Daniel Bordeaux, the junior, for purposes of a 2801 hearing. What say the parties?
State's ready.
And Judge, I need to speak with my client. He's been incarcerated since our last hearing, and now they've added on a new bail jumping as a result. So I would be asking for a reset on that 2801, and I don't know if we have to actually arraign him on the bail jumping or.
He's not been arraigned yet, then yes, I need to do that. Okay, on cause number B21-46, have you had an opportunity to go through that indictment with your client?
No, Your Honor, but I will be doing that.
Okay, let's just reset both of them for May 3rd then.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I do have a question though.
Sure.
He is on the trial docket tomorrow. I assume that's a mistake.
Yeah, can I have a call back? Be B2411. Should be because this 2801 wasn't set until today.
Okay. I assumed it was a mistake, but I did want to raise it so that I don't worry about the trial docket tomorrow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Judge, may I be excused? That's my last one.
Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's true.
Yes, Your Honor, I was on the docket this morning. I was wondering if I could get in on a new court
Ms.
date.
McCormick,
Yes,
what
sir.
you need to do is call the district clerk's office and they'll tell you what the scheduling order was, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court will call cause number B1676 and B16812, the state of Texas versus Jose Gomez, for purposes of pretrial. What say the parties?
Your Honor, for pretrial, state's ready.
Good afternoon, Judge. Alfonso Cabañas from Mr. Gomez. The defense is ready.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
Your Honor, just very briefly, Mr. Gomez was set for trial for tomorrow. One of the material witnesses that I have in the case was unavailable. It's not going to be available until next month in May for the next trial date. As soon as I found out, I let Mr. Cabañas know. And I believe we are prepared to go to trial in another matter tomorrow and pick the jury. I believe it's Troy Deese. And so that is the only matters before the court as far as the state is concerned. And so we're asking for a reset for a trial date on, I believe the trial date would be May 4th, the pretrial at May 3rd.
Mr. Cabañas?
That is correct, Judge. I've been in constant communication with Mr. Rosenbach regarding Mr. Gomez's case. He did let me know that on the, I believe it's the FTA, the 16812 case, he had a witness who was unavailable, so we're okay with the court resetting us till May. It gives me a chance to speak to Mr. Rosenbach further and see if we can resolve the case before that date.
All right, let's reset both of them for May 3rd for pretrial and May 4th for trial. We'll see y'all back next month. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court will call cause number B2002 and B19-320 and 321. State of Texas versus Andrew Harris. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
None from the state.
None from the defense at this time, Your Honor.
We need additional pretrials, or do we want to jump on the trial docket, or?
Pre-trial, I think we can get this one resolved by agreement.
All right, let's set it for, here real quick. Let's set it for May 3rd for pretrial, and at that point, we'll make a decision.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hmm? Yeah. He was asleep for the longest time. Court will call cause number B20-449, the State of Texas versus Jim Lopez. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
And I'm sorry, I stand corrected. It's actually a 2801 hearing today. So are each of you ready to proceed on a 2801 hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge, we got some new information last week that I'd like to go over and discuss with Mr. Lopez, and then I'd like to visit with Mr. Rosenbach. We just request that we be able to have another 2801 hearing in case there's any issues to raise.
And we don't have any issues with that, Your Honor. Ms. Sione is correct. Some things came to light, and I sent those documents to Ms. Sione per her request last week.
Okay, let's reset the 2801 for May 3rd. We'll take care of it then.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank y'all. Court will call cause number B20-175, the State of Texas versus Robert Wilkins. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
We have any pretrial issues, counsel?
No, none at this time, Your Honor.
None from the state.
Judge, I'm sorry, Judge, if I could just jump in real quick. This is a case that I believe had a trial setting, or maybe not, Cole, I can't remember, but I just wanted to tell the court that we're talking negotiations right now and hope to reach a resolution.
So we're not going to trial tomorrow?
Not on this case, Judge.
Okay. All right, let's reset it for May 3rd. We'll see everybody back on May 3rd.
All right, thank you.
Cole, did you get my email?
Yeah, I just did a minute ago. And
okay, good. I just want to make sure you got it.
And at the jail, will you guys tell Mr. Wilkins I'm going to call him in about an hour?
We'll call you in about an hour. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Cole.
Yep, thank you.
You all right?
Yeah. How are you?
Pretty good, man.
Good.
Did you have a good Easter?
Yeah.
Did y'all have a good Easter?
Court will call cause number B20-85, the state of Texas versus Adam Galindo for purposes of pretrial. What say the parties?
State's ready. Defense is ready, Your Honor.
Do we have any pretrial issues?
None from the state.
None from us at this time, Your Honor.
We already have a trial setting, or do you want another pretrial?
I think another pretrial would be a good idea. I think we can get this one worked out by agreement.
All right, we'll give you a pretrial on May 3rd, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, Mr. Chief.
Thank you, you too.
You have a good Easter?
Was Ms. Penton part of the docket? She's not part of the docket? Oh, we'll take care of that then. Gone. Leyva?
Leyva is one of Mr. McCray's judge.
Thank you.
That's
So,
correct, Your Honor.
wait.
We filed a waiver, but we also had a motion for bond reduction on file as well.
We have a note. Oh, here we go. Okay,
Okay, are we gonna need Mr. Leyva?
we are. Who do you have right there, Mr. Oliva?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's go ahead and take care of him, and then we'll jump back to Leyva.
We're gonna need.
Court will call cause number B20-298 and 561, the state of Texas versus Lucio Oliva Jr. For purposes of pretrial, what say the parties?
State's ready.
Defense is ready.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
None from the state.
We are preparing to file a motion that I've spoken with Mr. Rosenbach about. I haven't filed it yet, but there will be a motion to be heard soon.
On the contested docket, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as you file it, we'll get you set on the docket for that. But in the meantime, looks like our next scheduled appearance for the court is May 3rd. So we'll see everybody back on May 3rd for 2801.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
You may. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you about this morning. I was able to make it there in time.
Good. I'm glad.
All right.
Judge, Mr. Leyva is en route. I have Mr. Pitton available.
Yeah, let's put Mr. Penton in the hot seat and then we'll get Mr. Leyva.
Judge, while she's doing that, I got a email from Rick that maybe he wants to put that off to Friday. So Rick, this may be your chance to.
Yes, sir. I'd like to do that. I don't know what happened. I didn't see the plea packet when it came in, and I need that to go through this with Mr. Penton, so I don't try to do it on the fly. If we could do it Friday morning, that would be great.
Okay, we'll reset Mr. Penton for Friday morning, 8 a.m.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I think
Thank
that's
you.
my last one. Am I excused?
You are. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge. Goodbye. See you Friday. Thank you, Steve.
And then, Your Honor, in regards to Mr. Leyva, I'm sure Mr. McCray had filed it and sent it to us, but I can't find it in the file. And I'm not ready for a contested hearing on a bond.
Looks like it was
Motion.
filed March 16th.
Okay.
It's filed looks like 3 days before the notice of appearance.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed. Who's this on, Ben? And I'll start looking for stuff.
Benjamin Leyva.
Okay, I'll start looking for stuff. Can you give us a couple minutes, Judge?
I can, or if Mr. McCray wants to agree, we can reset it for Friday morning.
Yeah, Friday morning is fine, Judge. They're usually pretty fair with me, so I'll do the same. So I know Mr. Labor probably wants to hear otherwise, but I think we need to get our ducks in a row. Have everybody prepared.
Thanks, Leland.
Thanks, Leland. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move Leyva to Friday morning.
Okay,
We just wanted you to exercise a little bit in there.
you said that. Do y'all want to let him know what's going on since he's right here now? They're gonna.
Mr. Leyva, your motions to reduce bond have been reset for Friday morning. So we'll see you back Friday morning at 8 o'clock, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leyva.
Is that in person, Judge?
Yes.
I think it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm having to think about it because we're bouncing back and forth right now.
Yeah, that's why I showed up this morning. Wasn't sure.
It's like one of those Twilight Zone things. You show up and nobody else is there.
Yeah. You all behind plexiglass, that didn't help.
Yes. Yeah, I have Mr. Garcia's. Do what? No, they're not bringing him in. He's on, that's one of the ones we talked about out front,
No,
isn't it?
no. That's the one I above him. Richard Gino Gonzalez is the one we talked about with Brett, but Richard Garza, Fort Wilkins client.
Well, he's incompetent too, right?
Yes.
Waiting on state hospital.
Yes.
Hey, Kurt, you don't need Richard Garza out, do you? Isn't he also waiting on state hospital placement?
That is correct. Dr. Raleigh Wood's report found him not competent.
Okay.
Dr. Wood found him not competent. So no, we do not need him.
Okay.
Judge, I think we're also waiting for evaluations on Mr. Gardner. Is that right, Cheryl?
Sorry. That's the one we talked about where we had filed the notice of temporary insanity, and I think y'all wanted to have him evaluated by.
That's right. I need to file the motion to get him evaluated, Judge. So he doesn't need to come out either.
Well, for insanity or for competency?
Well, minor. I guess I'm just trying to help. I think I need to look at that more. I know I saw something and I'm not sure. So yes, sir, I need to look at it.
Well, okay, it's your call, Cheryl.
We can talk further about it as well. He is set for trial tomorrow though, so I think we need to.
Let's bring him out and we'll explain to him what's going on. Court will call cause number B20-104, the state of Texas versus Isaiah Garcia. For purposes of pretrial, let's say the parties.
State's ready.
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
We have any pretrial issues?
None from the state.
None at this time, Your Honor, from the defense.
Do we need another pretrial before we go on the trial docket?
I believe so. I think we could probably by May 3rd have an agreement worked out.
Okay, let's set it on pretrial for May 3rd. Mr. Garcia, we'll see you back then. Thank you. Thank you. Court will call cause number B19-864, the state of Texas versus Michael Espinoza. Purposes of pretrial, would say the parties.
State's ready.
Defense is ready.
Do we have any pretrial issues?
None from the state.
None from us, Your Honor.
All right, the same question on this one. Do we need another pretrial?
I believe so. I think we can probably get wrapped up by May 3rd.
Sure.
All right, Mr. Espinoza, we'll see you back on May 3rd. Thank you.
Rick Emerson,
Yes.
Mr. Rick is refusing to come out of the cell.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Did you say Mr. Deese is refusing to come out?
I'm sorry, I skipped a person, I'm sorry. I said Mr. Richard Garza is.
Oh, okay. But that's fine. Mr. Garza doesn't need to come out. He's waiting on state hospital placement.
Yes, sir. Mr. Deese is right here.
Okay. That surprised me for a minute. I thought I was losing my mind.
That would have shocked me too, Your Honor.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
How are you, Mr. Deese?
Trying to get better.
Good. Court will call cause number B20-177, the state of Texas versus Troy Deese. For purposes of pretrial, would say the parties.
State's ready.
Oh, no.
This defense is ready for pretrial, Your Honor.
Okay. Good. You froze on us for just a moment.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're just.
Hello, hello.
Ms. West, can you hear us?
Okay.
Wonder where all the feedback.
I can hear the court fine. Hear me. Oh. All right, let me try something else.
Now you're live again. Can you still hear us?
I can hear. I was going to switch devices to see if I could have a better connection. Okay.
You're going to have to kill the first device, please.
Did
There
that.
we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
we
I
were in the echo
apologize,
chamber
Jess.
for a moment. Okay, you ready, Paula? Okay. All right, do we have any pretrial issues we need to address, Ms. West? Now
You're on
muted.
I filed several pretrial motions that I think the court needed to rule on, but I also just sent Mr. Harpold an email related to the fact that I did have a critical witness that is now unavailable this week. So I do need to make a formal motion for continuance for our trial for tomorrow based on that witness's unavailability. I didn't know, but I haven't filed a formal motion, mostly because I was hoping the witness was going to be available, but I've just found out that he's not. So I guess, how would you like for me to proceed, Judge, in terms of the pretrial motions that I've already filed, and then my formal request for continuance?
Mr. Harpold, have you received the email?
Judge, I just got it. And I don't know what, I mean,
Have you had an opportunity to read it?
it was just what she said, that
Okay.
she had a witness. She just found out that a witness was unavailable, and I don't know. I don't, my response is that I understand those things happen. I don't want to be unreasonable at this point. I mean, if she says it's material, then I respect that she says it's material.
Well, then I would say it's up to you, Ms. West, on whether you want to address your motions or hold off.
I mean, I'm happy to address the motions now, Judge, and then that would sort of streamline everything for for our next trial setting.
Okay. Do you want me to just
But I
go through them in the order they're in the file, or do you have certain ones you want to address?
No, we can go through the order that they're in the file. For the most part, I think that Mr. Harpold has given me everything. So I just need rulings just for appellate purposes.
Okay, the first one up is the motion for list of state's witnesses prior to trial.
I have provided I have filed it of record and sent it to defense, a list of our witnesses.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, it's granted as per the local orders. Looks like the next one up is defendant's request for notice of extraneous offenses.
I've complied with that as well, Your Honor.
Your Honor, it's my understanding, and Mr. Harpold and I have discussed this, that there's sort of this ongoing duty. It does appear that there is ongoing information that he has been able to provide me even as early as this morning. So I do believe that Mr. Harpold is not only complying, but continuing to do so.
All right, the court will grant the motion as per local orders. Defendant's request for court reporter, always.
Just standard for me, Judge.
Yeah, just a curiosity question, because you're in a different jurisdiction. What do you do up there on the jurisdictions or the courts that have moved to electronic recording?
Those courts have not done any jury trials yet.
Okay.
So that's not really been an issue as it relates to trial motions for me.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, so I mainly, as you may be aware, I mainly practice in Dallas and the surrounding counties, and they're so big that they're just not able to safely have jury trials yet.
The next document up is defendant's election as to punishment, and it's not checked either way. It's not signed, it's not checked.
That's correct, Your Honor. If we can hold off on that one, I think that'll be much more of a game time decision, if that's okay with the court. Prior to voir dire.
Next document up is a motion for a hearing on the admissibility of enhancement portion of the indictment prior to the voir dire of the jury panel.
I'll, if I may, not withhold, but just hold that one until probably our actual voir dire date.
And if I could just respond, Judge, the enhancements were not part of the indictment. And so I sent out enhancements notices a month or more than several weeks ago. So she's had that for some time.
And that is accurate, Your Honor.
Have a motion in limine regarding the alleged extraneous offenses or bad acts.
I would just request, it's hard to tell in advance, Your Honor. I would just ask for the motion in limine just so we can approach the court should anything come up.
Starpold, if you had a chance to read the motion.
Judge, I would respond by saying that I'm in agreement on approaching the bench whenever I see something that might be of issue for the defense. And so I don't have a problem approaching the bench and looking at, I'm looking at it right now. And unfortunately, I'm not able to, it must have come in. Give me 1 second. I apologize. It's listed as motion in limine under mine, but when I pull it up, it's a different document.
Oh, I apologize for that, Mr. Harpold. I can resend it to you, but I only have like the entire packet to resend to you.
No,
so I don't know.
and that's fine. And again, I definitely respect whatever issues you have about extraneouses or other things that need to approach the bench before diving into that stuff. So, I mean, I don't see a problem on a general limine that discusses all those kind of issues that just traditionally, one would approach the bench on.
Okay, and it's not some sort of super secret. It's very standard. It's not, there's not anything weird in it.
Well, Judge, until such time as I can review it in detail, because apparently I thought I had it, but I didn't. I would just ask if we could just hold off on that. And if it is what she's saying it is, we can easily agree to that just right before we get started.
And I don't have any objection to that, Judge.
Motion for discovery and inspection of evidence.
So that's the sort of what I call my monster motion, my, sort of omnibus pretrial motions. It has lots and lots of things in it that I would guess probably the state doesn't have an objection to. Usually what I find, Judge, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Harpold, I think in here I request like addresses for law enforcement. I've noticed most prosecutors object to that. And I think the only other thing that I would specifically ask that the court address is I do think that I make a request for any scientific reports or experts that the state has relied on or intends to have testify as it relates to any of the facts of this case, just to make sure that that's granted in advance. But other than that, it's all very standard, and Mr. Harpold has complied as far as I can tell.
Well, I'll represent right now that I don't have any like per se experts, as far as someone who'd be hired to have reviewed stuff and give an independent opinion. My only expert, so to speak, would just be the officer, the detective who worked on the case, and you have his report and everything that he's done in this case.
I do.
So to that extent, there's nobody else that would be serving. Let me say this, in the guilt innocence portion of the case, I mean, punishment wise, I mean, there may be an expert to prove up judgments or something like that, but
Okay.
I'm just trying, I don't want you to be surprised by anything. So, I mean, that's kind of, it's just a standard deal.
Okay. Then I think that there shouldn't be any issue.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold off on this. And what I would do is ask you to please go through and compare this to the court standing orders. And if there's any paragraphs that are not addressed in the court standing orders, let me know and we'll bounce back and go through those specifically so that you're covered on appeal. Okay.
Yes, I will do that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Sure. Motion to discover criminal records of witnesses.
Judge, I can answer to that. I have the criminal history on the victim and the victim's mother, who Ms. West asked for. So those are available at any time for her to review. Of course, I can't forward them to her because they're TCI, CNCI reports, but I'm guessing that in this break, she'll have time to look at those or whatever. But other than that, there's, only other witness would be law enforcement. And I don't believe I need to produce a criminal history on law enforcement.
And if I may just briefly respond to that, Your Honor, I don't disagree with Mr. Harpold. I don't think that he has to generate evidence as it relates to law enforcement. I would only ask that if he is aware of anything that would amount to Brady as it relates to any of the law enforcement officers that are involved in this case, that he turn that information over to me in a form that I can investigate.
And my response to that is I'm always willing and wanting to comply with our Brady obligations.
Okay, what the court's going to do on this is sign the order to the effect that non-law enforcement witnesses are ordered to be turned over.
And that's totally fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. Formal request for compliance with Article 3914 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure.
As far as I'm aware, Your Honor, Mr. Harpold has complied.
And as we've talked about this outside of court, and like I said, I'm always duty bound to comply with it. So it's my continuing effort to always be responsive to that.
That's all I'm showing, Ms. West, unless you have something else.
That's all that I have filed, Your Honor. And then so I just have a question for the court. Does this court do special sets for jury trials by any chance?
Not as a general rule.
Okay. That was my only question. Thank you, Your Honor.
We're unlike where you are, we're restricted. We get one jury trial per month in each county, and that's only access we have.
I understand, Your Honor. Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Harpold, you have anything to present?
No, Your Honor. I have nothing to present by way of pretrial matters at this. Oh, Judge, I do. I'm sorry. Thank you for asking. This is in this case, there are five counts to the indictment. And I referenced this in a previous email to Ms. West, but I just, had we been going to trial, I would ask to do this right now. So I will go ahead and basically point out to the court that in each count, I'm going to be abandoning the language. So it reads, and they're younger than 17 years of age, comma, that would be the fourth line. And a person, that language following all the way down to the last sentence or the last line of that paragraph where it with penal code, comma. So from and a person whom the defendant was prohibited from marrying or purporting to marry, or with whom the defendant was prohibited from living under the appearance of being married under section 25.01 penal code, I'm abandoning that language. And since it's an abandonment, it's not an amendment. And in fact, it works to the defendant's, I mean, I'm just speaking this not as far as like in reality, but just his benefit as far as to the extent that it's gone from a first degree down to a second degree. So that would be an abandonment that I will be doing in each of the counts, therefore making this just a straight up sexual assault of a child, second degree felony.
And it begins at the word "and."
Yes, sir.
And then stops after the last word of code.
That's correct. So, and then following all the way to penal code, comma, is struck out.
And Your Honor, may I just respond for the record?
Sure.
Thank you. I understand that Mr. Harpold is characterizing the adjustment in the indictment as an abandonment of language, but I also recognize that Mr. Harpold has identified that it does change the level of the offense and dropping it from a first degree felony to a second degree felony. And for the record, the language that Mr. Harpold is abandoning essentially is Penal Code Section 25.01, which is the bigamy statute under the laws of the state of Texas. Obviously, the defense was understanding that that's what Mr. Dees was in part charged with, and therefore developing a defense based on those allegations. And the changing of the charge, although it's an abandonment of language, it does change the charge from invoking a portion of the penal code to now not invoking a portion of the penal code, and therefore has the potential of having an effect on Mr. Dees's defense. However, I haven't done any case law research to present to the court about whether or not that would give us our 10 days to be able to prepare again. But I guess having said all of that, if the court grants our motion for continuance, then it's not at issue anyway. But I just wanted to have that on the record, if that's okay, Your Honor.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Judge, I just would only say to that is that an abandonment in this particular case, which ultimately is just a lesser included, it's now just a lesser included of the first degree. Case law is pretty clear that that's not an amendment to an indictment.
Mr. Harpold, do you have any response to the oral motion for continuance?
Judge, I mean, obviously, I just received that email while we were sitting here in the hearing. I believe that that her representation that this is a material witness, I trust that it is. And if that's the case, then for me to oppose the continuance, I don't think would be productive. So I feel like I'm just in the position as I feel like it's just one of those, it is what it is situations. So.
Okay, let's set a pretrial on May 3rd and trial on May 4th.
We will be ready to proceed forward, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Do we have anything else to address?
Not from Mr. Dees.
All right, Mr. Dees, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Absolutely. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
You do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess the follow-up question to you, Stephen, is who's in the hot seat now? Since I think that was number one.
Judge, that was number one, and the other ones that I had well, I'm just looking at an email from Mr. Nettles, and he says he can go to trial tomorrow on his client. So I can be ready on that.
Which one is that?
Mr. Wilkins. It's the same victim.
Is that correct, Mr. Nettles?
Yes, sir. Mr. Harpold and I had exchanged a few emails there leading up to my prior announcement on this case. And so it was my understanding that Mr. Deese was going to be going to trial this week. And so I was kind of in a position where I didn't really think we could be going to trial this week.
Well, and
so
that was my call. That was my deal too. I literally found out just minutes after your case was reset.
Okay, gotcha. And of course, I'm not trying to make any allegation. I think the DA's office was, misrepresenting that or anything like that. Just that Mr. Wilkins was very clear to me. He wanted to have a trial if we couldn't work anything out. And so I was kind of thinking we might be able to work something out, but that does make a big change in my announcement. So, Your Honor, I would have to ask that Mr. Wilkins be recalled and that we would announce ready for trial tomorrow.
We'll get him back in here in just a few minutes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Your Honor, I believe that wraps up everything we have over here. May I be excused?
Absolutely. Thank you, Leland.
Have a good afternoon.
All right. Yep. Mr. Gardner, how are you?
I'm pretty well, Your Honor.
Good. Court will call calls number B20-367, 423, 424, and 425. The State of Texas versus Jerry Gardner. For purposes of pretrial, let's say the parties.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
State's ready, Your Honor.
Do we have any pretrial issues, counsel?
Judge, I guess maybe I should be responding on this too. I don't have any pretrial issues on Mr. Gardner.
Ms. Sione?
I don't have any pretrial issues at this time, Your Honor, although Mr. Gardner was set for trial tomorrow. I understand he's not going to trial. If we could reset him so that I don't have to appear, that would be great.
Yes, that's fine with me.
May or June?
That's your call, Sharon. Cheryl.
If it makes any difference to you, the other sexual assault will be in front of Mr. Gardner, if it's May.
I'm going to say June. I'll have an expert we'll need to get, and I'd like to give him a little bit more time to have a date.
All right, let's set a pretrial on May 3rd and June 1st, and then we'll set for jury trial on June 2nd. Do we have any other issues to address?
Not from the state.
Not from the defense.
All right, Mr. Gardner, we'll see you back on May 3rd. Thank you.
Judge, I think that's all I have. May I be excused?
You may. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Cheryl.
And just to confirm, Judge, I have a plea on Friday. Is that in person or is that via Zoom?
In person.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Judge, we're going to do Arredondo and then go back to Wilkins. Is that correct?
We need to pull Wilkins, and then we have one from this morning that was incarcerated, Kevin Brandt, that we couldn't get to because he was locked up. Of course, it looks like Mr. Ferguson's not with us, so. You know what? Don't worry about Mr. Brandt unless Mr. Ferguson pops online.
Okay. What about Mr. Arredondo?
Arredondo will be first, and then Mr. Wilkins.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey guys. Mr. Rosenbach.
Hello, Raphael.
Hi, guys.
How are you, Mr. Arredondo?
I'm all right. I'm waiting here to go home this year. I've been here 2 years.
Now, let's see what we can get done today, okay? Court will call calls number B19 662 and 663, the state of Texas versus Rafael Arredondo. For purposes of pretrial, let's say the parties.
State's ready.
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
We have any pretrial issues?
I'm from the state, Your Honor.
Yes, we do, Your Honor. Mr. Arredondo was evaluated quite some time ago and found competent to stand trial, but my opinion, having dealt with him and talked with him and attempted meaningful communication with him, for one, I have serious doubts if he was competent, but two, if he was actually competent, he's certainly decompensated to the point where I don't believe he can assist me in the defense of his case. I don't believe he's competent to enter into any type of plea negotiation. So I filed a motion for a second evaluation due to those concerns, which is pending. And
Mister, this is a pro bono, right? This guy right here. Pro bono.
Does the state have a position?
Hello?
Objection to that, Your Honor.
Hello?
Do I have an order, Mr. Ruckin?
no, you don't. I just realized I did not forward an order with that motion. I will get you one right away.
If you'll give me an order and go ahead and input Raleigh Woods' name and information, that'll speed things up.
Yes, I will do that.
Mr. Judge, I had filed in a motion, but I really didn't go with the pro bono program. I did it myself. I really don't need this guy, Mr. Rutkin, like advising anything for me. I filed some letters. I can do it myself. I don't need the guy, this guy, Mr. Rutkin, in the way. He's a pro.
Mr. Arredondo, at this point, we're going to have you evaluated again to make sure you're competent, okay?
You know what?
If the doctor comes back and says that you're competent, then at that point you can make a decision. But right now, I need to proceed with the evaluation to make sure you're protected, okay?
What about Mr. Rosenbach? Can you make my offer for the charge that I have with because I was found guilty. I want to see if you can give me my state jail time, which is 2 years max.
Hey, Raphael, I would advise you at this time not to continue to talk because nothing you're saying is helping you, okay?
I don't know about these games you guys are playing with computers and shit. This isn't like future type deal, man. We can go to the courthouse and take care of it. These games got to stop.
Well, we're going to get you evaluated. And as soon as we get an answer back from Dr. Woods, then we can proceed from there, okay?
Well, these games got to stop, man. All right.
That's your last one, Kurt?
That is, I am done. Thank you very much. I appreciate your patience with me today.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye, Kurt.
Bye. See you later, Ben.
They should be bringing out Mr. Wilkins. Cold jury selection will be out at the Youth Exhibit Center. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I think I have the address for it on like his notice.
Okay. Are you coming in from San Antonio?
Yes.
You usually come in and exit Sidney Baker, the main street.
Mm-hmm.
Go up to that the first light where the YO Hotel is and take a left. And
Okay.
that's a loop. It'll take you all the way around to 27. When you get to 27, take a left and you'll see the Youth Exhibit Center on your right-hand side.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I call it the Ag Barn.
Well, that's what it always was until 2 years ago when they changed the name on us.
Well,
And
there you
now it's
go.
officially the Happy Bank Youth Exhibit Center.
Yes.
Just means every time you walk in, you have to clap your hands. See, I'm glad we're on a computer. You can't throw things at me that way.
I got it though.
I just hang on to this file. Hey, Mr. Wilkins.
How you doing?
Good. We had a development since you last walked out of the courtroom, so we're going to recall your case, okay? Court will call cause number B20-175, the state of Texas versus Robert Wilkins. For purposes of pretrial, let's say the parties.
Fence is ready, Your Honor.
State's ready.
Mr. Harpold, you want to take it, or Mr.
Yeah,
Nettles?
Judge. When we were online with Mr. Nettles and Mr. Wilkins a little while ago, I did not know at that point in time that a material witness on Mr. D's case was unavailable. And so I was fine with resetting the case and believing that we were going to be trying Mr. D's case, but it turns out that in that brief time period, I got an email saying that her material witness was unavailable. So as a result, the state's ready to go to trial on Mr. Wilkins tomorrow. And by way of pretrial, I would just do the same thing, Judge, that I did in the previous case. And so I would announce that with regard to, there's 2 counts in the indictment. And with regard to the language in each count, specifically, and a person whom the defendant was prohibited from marrying or purporting to marry, or with whom the defendant was prohibited from living under the appearance of being married under section 2501, penal code, the state is abandoning that language, which effectively makes this a lesser included of, which would be a straight sexual assault of a child, which would be a second-degree felony. I just want to be upfront about that. So that's not going to be an issue.
Mr. Nettles?
And Your Honor, I just want to be clear on what the, I guess it's not an amendment, what the abandonment is. Where does that part start?
Cole, if you'll go to the 4th line of each count, and it goes, was then and there younger than 17 years of age, from that point forward, all the way down to the second to the last line, penal code, all of that in between is struck. So it will read in essence, and they're younger than 17 years of age by defendant's sexual organ.
Okay.
In both counts.
Okay, we would have no objection to that.
Okay. Do we have any other pretrial issues?
Not from the state.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we'll see everybody at 8 a.m. in the morning, bright and sunny.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye. Is that a wrap?
Oh, I don't know. Ben, is that anything else?
Mr. Nettles, are you going to come see your client?
I have a 4 o'clock video chat scheduled with him.
Okay,
So I will talk to him at that time.
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
That wraps up the docket, Your Honor. There was nothing else that I saw.
Okay. Happy trails, and we'll see everybody in the morning.
Okay, see you then.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.